Last week's match wasn't a high-profile game with many stars, but the clash between the French and Argentine Olympic teams still captured the full attention of the media. Few were genuinely interested in the match's progress. Instead, they were focused on the moments within the game. What the audience wanted to see was how France and Argentina would behave towards each other after a series of national-level scandals. And indeed, a series of dramas unfolded after the referee's whistle ended the match. Returning to the game, the French were more focused on the tournament held on their home turf and gained an early advantage. France secured a spot in the Olympic semifinals after overcoming Argentina in a tense quarterfinal. This match was not just a contest on the field, but also carried the hostility stemming from the racial discrimination incident following Argentina's Copa America victory. France made 9 changes in their final group stage match, reverting to their familiar lineup with Jean-Philippe Mateta and Castello Luqueba in coach Thierry Henry's starting 11. Meanwhile, Argentina's Javier Mascherano made only 3 changes from their 2-0 win over Ukraine. The atmosphere in Bordeaux was extremely tense from the moment the teams entered the field. The French national anthem was sung in a fervent atmosphere, fueled by the home fans' support, while the Argentine anthem was loudly booed by the crowd. As soon as the match began, the French team played with all their determination to reclaim their so-called lost dignity since the 2022 World Cup final. Mateta, in particular, was determined to use the Olympics as a springboard to the national team. He had even warned the Argentines before the match, "Watch what happens in the quarterfinals." France scored early when the Crystal Palace striker headed in from Michael Olise's corner. This goal boosted France's morale, and they continued to dominate the first 25 minutes, missing several chances, especially from Mateta. He was almost unstoppable during this period. However, Argentina gradually regained control, creating several dangerous opportunities. Mascherano's team missed some crucial chances, notably Giuliano Simeone's header off target from just a few meters out in the 36th minute. Yes, Giuliano Simeone is indeed the son of the famous Diego Simeone. Back to the match, Argentina played well towards the end of the first half, creating a stark contrast to the beginning of the game. They had opportunities to equalize. The second half saw Argentina controlling more of the ball, but they didn't create many real threats. France remained a threat on the counterattack, but also struggled to find the back of the net. Tensions rose as fierce tackles continued between players from both teams. A controversial moment occurred in the 83rd minute when VAR disallowed Olise's goal, ruling that Magnus Akliouche had committed a foul earlier. This decision sparked outrage among the French players and heightened the tension on the field. France held on to their advantage to secure a spot in the semifinals and ensure a chance to compete for an Olympic medal. However, this match will be remembered not just for the result, but also for the unforgettable tensions and clashes between the two teams. After the final whistle, players from both sides engaged in conflicts, clearly showing the pent-up tension throughout the match. Scuffles broke out across the field as players couldn't control their emotions. Referees and officials had to intervene to prevent the situation from escalating. This scene clearly reflected the hostility and pressure both teams had endured. Ironically for the Argentinians, who once mocked France for having players from various backgrounds, it was Mateta, whose father is Congolese, who scored early, striking at the superiority complex of those with racist views. France led by 1 goal, and Argentina was struggling. That was more than enough for the French fans to cheer. The tension never eased throughout the match. Every play, every tackle carried determination and sometimes hostility. When the final whistle blew, the Bordeaux pitch erupted. Players from both sides clashed as they could no longer contain their emotions. Shoving and harsh words turned the field into a real battleground. It took several minutes for referees and officials to intervene and extinguish the flames of conflict. It took even longer, and French midfielder Enzo Millot received a red card after the match, for the police to calm the clashes on the field and in some sections of the stands. Perhaps the authorities had been warned about potential risks, which is why they were so proactive. Let's hear what those involved had to say about the scuffle. Thierry Henry, the head coach of the French team, had to apologize after the match. "We didn't see this match as revenge for the World Cup, that's behind us. Scoring early gave us the advantage. I apologize for the chaos at the end. It's not what I wanted, and I couldn't control it. In fact, we had a player sent off." The Argentinians also couldn't keep their cool. Veteran defender Nicolas Otamendi was furious about the French players celebrating in front of the Argentine fans. "It made me angry when they celebrated right in front of our supporters," Otamendi said. "If he wants to celebrate, come to us, and we'll settle it there. We have things to say." Otamendi was referring to French defender Loic Bade. He added, "Before becoming world champions, I experienced defeats, and I understand that feeling. The boys played well. We just lacked the goal." On social media, people are currently criticizing the French commentators. They believe the commentators were too biased with their remarks after the match. A brawl is starting. We're used to this when facing the Argentinians. Otamendi only knows how to do this. He should learn how to play football. He's already 36 years old. Garcia is acting like a thug. Look at Argentina after the match with Morocco. They started the tournament this way, and now they're ending it the same way. The rivalry between the French and Argentinians is relatively short-lived compared to other rivalries. Initially, the French even had a favorable view of the Argentinians. Just look at two of the biggest clubs in France, Marseille and PSG, where prioritizing Argentine players is nothing new. In the heart of PSG, there was once a group of Argentinians like Angel Di Maria and Paredes. Before them, there were Lavezzi, Pastore, Icardi, Lo Celso, Gabriel Heinze, and of course, Lionel Messi. When Messi joined PSG, he was greeted with cheers. They welcomed the king they had always awaited in the club's history, even though Neymar and Mbappe, France's national treasures, were already there. They gave Messi absolute respect and treatment that perhaps only heads of state receive. However, Messi's magic at PSG was too weak in the eyes of the Parc des Princes fans. Their love turned to blame, even though Messi never played poorly there. The peak of the conflict came in the 2022 World Cup final. The French reached the final, standing on the brink of winning the World Cup twice in a row. But Messi and his teammates shattered the French. They left the French stunned in the first half. Mbappe and his teammates woke up in the second half, but it wasn't enough. Messi won the Golden Cup as part of history. At that time, Messi was still a PSG player. Typically, any club would hold a celebration for a player who won the World Cup, but PSG did not. President Nasser Al-Khelaifi bluntly said, "We feel sensitive. Messi just defeated France, so it's sensitive. Mbappe is not happy, and neither are the fans." It sounds reasonable, but the issue escalated beyond the stadium. Returning to the Olympics, international football governing bodies and the International Olympic Committee are expected to conduct investigations into the brawl and may issue a series of penalties for both teams. Players involved in the incident could face suspensions, fines, or even bans from upcoming international matches. The football federations of France and Argentina may also be held accountable and receive corresponding penalties. A new rivalry is forming. If this were just a regular tournament, things might be overlooked. But this is the Olympics, a competition that highly values sportsmanship, making such actions hard to accept. This is not just a football issue, but also concerns the Olympics as a whole.